Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another concert review. Hitting them a lot this month in April. So, my most recent concert took place on Saturday, the 16th of April. I got to see the alternative roots rock band, the Wallflowers, starring Jacob Dylan. Of course, we all know Jacob Dylan is one of Bob Dylan's children. He's been a musician since the early 90s, maybe 1989 ish, but really hit it big with the album Bringing Down the Horse with the Wallflowers, and has been touring with the Wallflowers. He's made a couple of solo albums, and just recently, as of last year, put out this fantastic new album called Exit Wounds. It was the first Wallflowers album in almost 10 years. Completely different group of musicians on this album. However, Jacob Dylan is leading it all. Fantastic album. Check it out. I've got the album copy as well, the vinyl. It's on New West Records, and it's produced by the wonderful Butch Walker. So let me go ahead and jump into my review here. So the concert itself was at an outdoor park. There was a festival going on in the town that I live in, and this was the headlining day. And so there was about probably close to 3,000 people in the park. So great turnout for the Wallflowers. And I got there a little bit after 7 o'clock. There was an opener, but I don't think the opener was really affiliated with the Wallflowers. It was a string band that I can't think of the name of, out of Tennessee. I think they were just kind of playing music and just happened to be, opening, so to speak, for the Wallflowers. But I think they were their own entity. I don't think they were touring with the Wallflowers. But anyway, they were okay. The singing wasn't great, but anyway, I won't go into that. Musicianship was great. The banjo player was good, but anyway, Wallflowers come out at 8:30. Again, this is an outdoor amphitheater. There's no roof, so it's open air with the exception of the stage. Uh, Once the Wallflowers came out, the crowd moved down to kind of the mosh area, and then people were sitting up on the concrete bleachers as well as the lawn behind us. And the Wallflowers came out. Jacob Dylan comes out wearing this cool hat and kind of a suede jacket, and they open with the opening track from this album called "Maybe Your Heart's Not in It No More," which is really really good. The band was super tight. I think most of them played on this album. So I mean, they're the Wallflowers by name, but it's really Jacob Dylan and a bunch of other guys because none of the other guys have played on a single Wallflowers album other than this one. But they opened with that song. Then I think they went into, let's see, they went into I Hear the Ocean When I Want to Hear Trains, which is from this album. They did about half the songs on this album, which is great because I don't know a lot of the Wallflowers' deeper cuts. I just know really this album and Bringing Down the Horse. But for me, it was cool because I got to see both Bob and Jacob in the same month. I saw Bob on April 1st, saw Jacob on the 16th. But they did the big songs. They did Sixth Avenue Heartache, which is a great song from Bringing Down the Horse. They did, obviously, their big hit, One Headlight. And it was funny because when they started into One Headlight, Jacob was like, he's like, here's a really deep cut. And then they broke into it. So he probably tells that joke every night. But then they also did God Don't Make Lonely Girls, which is a great song, very Tom Petty sounding. And what was cool, one of the cool things about this band was, how like groups like the Grateful Dead, like between songs, they'll kind of like tune up or like they're constantly making noise on stage. Dylan's band does it too, Bob Dylan's band. But it's cool because like between every song, like the song would end and the guy on the organ would be like holding down the note and kind of fiddle around while Jacob, switched guitars. Or they had one guy who was playing a lap guitar and would switch out to electric guitar. or he played mandolin on a couple songs, and so they were switching up while he was fiddling around on the keyboards. And when Jacob sings, he's got that Dylan sound to him. For those of you that don't know, very raspy, but almost more of like a Springsteen kind of sound with less range. But it's amazing to me that Jacob Dylan's 52 years old, and you think of him as the young Dylan, but he's well past middle age. But another cool thing about Jacob Dylan is he had a documentary out a couple years ago called Echo in the Canyon, where he talked about the Laurel Canyon scene in the 60s. I think that's on Amazon Prime. And he interviews Jackson Browne, Brian Wilson, David Crosby, and he also interviews Tom Petty in what would end up being his last on-screen interview. And so it was cool. I mean, Jacob is much more personable on stage than his dad. He'll actually make reference to people in the audience. He pointed out a woman's T-shirt, was wearing a Nick Cave T-shirt at the beginning of the show. He's like, this woman's already won, best T-shirt of the night. He's like Nick Cave, and um, he was talking about other T-shirts throughout the night. And um, again, a tight band. They played till about probably 10:20 or so almost 2 hours. But it was cool because when they finished up they were finishing up the song, "Who's That Man Walking Around My Garden," which is from this album. Really heavy, just well, not heavy, but it's a foot tapper song. And from where I was sitting, and I didn't move down to the front until this song, which I knew there's probably about 5 songs left. I made my way down, got some cool shots. One of those will be my thumbnail for this video, and it it was just completely different to go down to the front and see him that close, but incredibly loud at the front. I couldn't have imagined sitting down there in the front. My ear was ringing from just like 4 songs, uh, with that I was down there. But one of the things that struck me about the show was, and Jacob Dylan does rarely talks about his dad because I think he likes to kind of forge his own path. There was one point where Jacob is wearing this like kind of a hat, kind of like Dylan wore during the Rolling Thunder review, and he had an acoustic guitar, and the way that he was holding the guitar up like this looked so much like Bob Dylan in like 1964. It took me to the, like, I don't know, like Manchester Hall, like when Dylan was playing before the band would come out, or Dylan like at Carnegie Hall, like from that live album that came out a few years ago. The way that he was holding the acoustic guitar, he had a hat on, and Jacob Dylan, he looks young, so his face, he's got like the sunken cheekbones and the curly hair and everything, real thin. I was like, that for a moment, just for like a flash of a second, that person on the stage was Bob Dylan in 1964. And it was just the most out of body weird experience because I've never seen Dylan like playing guitar. Because every time I've seen Bob Dylan, he's behind the keyboard or the piano, and he doesn't hold guitar anymore because of different arthritis or tendonitis, whatever he has in his wrists and his hands. But it was just, for a moment, I felt like I was seeing Bob Dylan in the early to mid 60s. And it was weird because, I mean, the voice, it's obviously Jacob Dylan, but the way that he looked, and I was far enough away where, I couldn't tell that Jacob had a little bit of salt and pepper in his hair and that sort of thing. But it was just really, really cool to see that, the way he held that guitar in that moment. But what was cool, the really cool part of the show was, uh, they finished the song, um, "Who's That Man Walking Around My Garden?" And I believe that was the last song that they played um, before. I think that was the last song that they played in the set. But um, the band left, and like they left, and like feedback is filling the stadium. I mean the park, and the amplifiers are still buzzing. And then the Wallflowers come out, and Jacob is like, he's like, "I saw a woman down here with someone who's wearing a Petty Nation shirt," And he said, "So how about we do a Petty Nation song?" And then they break into the song, the 1981 song, "The Waiting" from Tom Petty's album Hard Promises. And I know he's been doing this song for a few years, but again, I don't follow the Wallflowers until now, on social media or like on their YouTube. So it was really cool, and I posted that on my YouTube page. That was my video from the show, and it was just so cool to have a traveling Wilbury song. Well, to have the son of a Wilbury sing the song of another Wilbury. It was just kind of this full circle thing, and the fact that Jacob got to have that last on-screen interview with Tom really made it special. And then they finished with the song "The Only Difference" from Bringing Down the Horse, which is a great song, rocking. So it was a great show. See the Wallflowers. It was real cheap. It was like $30, and I think they're hopefully that means they have more music in them because this was so well received. I hope so. And again, check out Exit Wounds if you don't have it. Really great stuff. So thank you all for watching. It was fun. I've got another show that I'm seeing this Sunday, and then I'm kind of on a concert hiatus until June, I think. So you won't have to worry about these videos coming up as frequently as they have been in April. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Appreciate it. Listen to the Wallflowers. Y'all be good. Talk to y'all real soon.